Aloha, Bulavinaka, Maloa Nele, Hafade, Kiora, and Talofa. Welcome to our cultural home. Here at Utopia, Washington, our mission is to create sacred spaces to strengthen the minds and bodies of our queer and trans-Pacific Islanders, or UTOPIA, through community care, community organizing, culture stewardship, and civic engagement.
Our vision is to create a world of cultural wealth, dignity, healing, and liberation for all cutie pies that honors our ancestors, future generations, and ourselves.
We are so honored you could join us to Talanoa. You might be wondering, what is Talanoa? Well, I'm glad you asked. Talanoa is building conversations. It is the ability to have an open discussion about any given topic. As a people whose history has been passed down orally, many Pacific Islanders continue to utilize this traditional tool to increase awareness, educate, and find solutions about issues that impact our community. Tala means story, and Noa means to tie or bind. Through Talanoa, we are able to connect our stories, bringing together community for meaningful conversations by weaving our experiences together.
Talanoa aims to provide a cultural space to talk about critical issues that impact our community. It is through Talanoa that we are able to educate community by providing an in-depth understanding and insight that will support the collective growth of our people. We invite you now to attend this month's Talanoa session. We are so excited to have you. From all of us here at Utopia, Washington, Fa'afetai Te Lava.
Thank you for being here.
Utopia, Washington continues to recognize that we as diasporic Indigenous peoples reside and pull resources from the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, the Duwamish, Mokoshoot, and Puyallup nations. It is important to understand the long-standing history that has brought us and other settlers, colonizers, and Indigenous peoples to reside on these lands, and to seek an analysis on continuing understanding of our place within that history and present day. Land recognition does not reside in the past tense or historical context. Colonialism is an ongoing weapon, and we need to build the mindfulness of our present participation and how to truly stand in solidarity with the First Nation people and support their health, growth, and self-governance. Recognition is but one step in empowering the Indigenous peoples of the lands on which you reside. You can visit nativeland.ca to view the Indigenous territories and lands on which you occupy, as well as see the resources and ways to support the nations and peoples who steward these lands. Indigenous First Nations peoples are still here, and we aim to help them in their right to thrive and self-govern.
E whaatalafa atu le paia mana mamalu alo whaasausaunga ili nei tuna fiafi. O loo whaawau pēr ngā luenga o le whaalaputuputunga le Utopia, Washington e ala lea i le whaatauaina ma le whaalawiloaina o tangata anu umoni o nei lau ile ele ua tātou na nofo mau nei. E tātālanga atu pēr ma se whau ma whaamanatu atu i le paia mana mamalu o le lau tele e ui lava o i tātou o tangata anu umoni o le Pasifika e ao lava o na tātou amana ia ma whaaino pēr le anganga whaafitai ia i nātou o e nā saina le masu o le tai ao. O e sa ngafa ma whaawaina o nei lau ile ele ma mua i tito ina le nimi o tua oi. O i lātou fo'i e awe i ai le whaamua mua, o no i lātou o ulua i tangata o whanua ma lau ile ele ua whai mō tātou tofi i le nei mai tau. Ma e whaasini tonu tau talanga i tangata anu Coast Salish, Duwamish, Mokoshoot, ma Puyallup. E tā ua no tātou nofo malama lama i le tala anga ma le tala whaasolpito i mafua anga ua alai o no tātou wo mai i nei lau le ele. Le ngata ia i tātou tangata Pasifika, a o nisi fo i tangata atunu ese na au mai i pule anga masauanga whaakolone. O le whaalawiloaina ma le amana ia o lau le ele o tāpua whanua o se tasi nei o awala e whaahari atu ai le tātou wanganga whaaloalo i tangata moni o le nei atunu. o whai mo tātou no fuanga. E ao ana tātou te tū whaatasi, ma lango ma losi I mata upu tau soifua ma lo loina, ma whainga ma lo.
O le whaalau iloa ina o lau whanua, wa na o se tasi leo au wale ma whai ai, o na whailo ailo whaalo ma laulang lango I tangata ni umoni, o nei lau ele. E ma whai foi o na whaali lau soswani, ma le anganga lango e ala I penga te whailangi I le native-land.ca ma sa ili ai mo whanua, ma lau ele o loo e au mahawai. Ma fōra I e sau mea alofa tau se eleni I lea tinae. E whamanatu atu pēa, e le whaalapo tukotonga li Utopia, Washington, lo o soifua pēa tangata anu, o muai tangata nei lawel ele, ma o le nau ta inga o le nei whaalapo tukotonga, na ia tātou ngā lulu e whātasi, ina ia tupu tā lau, ma o la lau siusi lea tinae, ai a whanau ma au ngā tukulanga whai ai o le lumanai.
Soifua Maia Manuia. Thank you. Aloha, talo falava, pula vinaka, hafade, malo elele, and welcome to our very first Talanoa of the year 2022. We are excited that you are here and joining us tonight. My name is Delarenta Tunupopo.
And I am Aras Fainuleleyanto, and Del and I have the wonderful privilege of facilitating tonight's Talanoa and this conversation.
This evening, we would like to thank you for inviting us into your homes and taking time out of your busy schedules to tune in. Tonight's Talanoa is centered around the team behind the scenes, which is our staff. For years, Utopia has put forth resources, community support, hosted functions and events, but really hasn't gotten the time to know who the people are behind the scenes. And tonight is your chance.
Yes, Del, I absolutely agree. We have a wealth of knowledge and an abundance of expertise sitting right before you. And we have the honor of calling them colleagues, our working fam. So hello fam, welcome in. How is everyone doing?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. We are so ecstatic and so happy to have you tonight.
Yes, and thank you for agreeing to be here and share your work and expertise with our community. You all look so stunning and dapper tonight.
Likewise.
So do you.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, let's get down to business. I know that everyone knows each other, but for the sake of our viewers, I'm going to ask we do a little introduction. You can state your name, your pronouns, and what cultural value or object are you bringing into our Talanoa tonight? And since Ara and I are facilitating, we will model and then pass it around. I'll start off with Ara.
Awesome. Well, good evening. Once again, my name is Aras Fainuleleyanto. And tonight, my pronouns are she, her. And tonight, I bring to you my haku and a beautiful saying. How do you say saying in English? Flower. And what this represents is beauty, right? And not only are we beautiful beings, but I bring that to this conversation. I think there needs to be more beauty in the world, and also I bring light, and I approach this conversation with so much respect. And I pass it over to you, beautiful Del.
Thank you so much, Ara. That was wonderful. Aloha, my name is Delarenta Tafa Ilamatani Matani Fengai Maleata Ngayoya Ilala Matasa Samoy Lua Tunupopo. She, her pronouns. And what I bring here today in our Talanoa is love. I think in our community, all we got to do is just share love. And I don't want to take up too much time, so let's just get on with Miss Sasha.
Hello everyone, my name is Sasha Samuelu. My pronouns are she and her. And what cultural thing I'm bringing is not an item. I have it on my palms, or my tattoos. Each tattoo personifies my respect for both of my sisters. Yeah, and that's the energy I'm bringing here tonight. It's the positive energy and respect. Thank you.
I love it, Sasha. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yours as well.
Talanoa, everyone. My name is Adriana Suluai. I use she, her, sunga pronouns. The cultural value that I bring with me today during this wonderful panel amongst colleagues is my whāngainga with my community. And that is the promise that I, as a community engagement coordinator, has and shares in the bond, and especially the positive energies on why I continue to do this work.
Adri, for someone out there that doesn't understand what whāngainga is, could you please translate what that
Oh,
is?
definitely. So whāngainga in English is a covenant, which is a sacred promise that I have or that I've established with those who I serve and support.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Talanoa, everyone. My name is Alira Painutlasikiner. I use she, her pronouns, and the cultural value that I bring with me today is ainga, which means family. Ainga is a central element in the Samoan culture.
And it is within the Pacific, right? And we also know that ohana, which was really stated in Lilo and Stitch, everybody familiar with Lilo and Stitch? Ohana means no one is forgotten, no one is left behind.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Elsie. 안녕하세요. My name is Soo-young Yoon. I use they, them pronouns. And the energy I wanted to bring in today is actually one of my ancestors, our ancestors who passed today, the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. And he always brought an energy of mindfulness and presence wherever he went. So I'd like to bring that to the space today.
Thank you.
Hafade, Inamhu, si Cataloan Camacho. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the development manager for Utopia, Washington. Today, I'm bringing the Chamoto concept of respect to the space, and understanding that we are all coming from different backgrounds, different environments, different cultures, and different realities, but coming together with the singular purpose of serving our community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Fania Sipili, super pronoun friendly. The concept or the elemental concept that I'm bringing in today is air. Oftentimes that we forget to breathe. So I'm encouraging and putting it out there to take your time and breathe. Thank you.
I love that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jaren Goto. He, she, they pronouns are all okay. Tonight I bring positivity. I try to approach everything that I do with a positive attitude, and this is no different. So thank you.
Awesome. The beauty of utilizing this ancient practice of Talanoa is being able to build perspective through a cultural lens. So thank you everyone for bringing such and being so intentional in bringing these wonderful values to this conversation.
Absolutely are. Such a great way to kick off this conversation.
Yes.
Our first question of the night is for everyone here on our panel. Please give a brief explanation of the work that you do in your program, and what it entails, and so forth. So let me just select somebody. Let's start out with Sasha.
Hello everyone, again my name is Sasha Samuelu. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the COVID Community Outreach Coordinator for Utopia, Washington. Most of my work is to provide ongoing resources to our UTOPIA LGBT BIPOC community all over Washington state. Provide resources on vaccination distribution, helping folks out schedule appointments for testing and vaccinations, and provide available resources on food stamps, rental assistance, housing assistance, and also PPE distribution.
Wow, Sasha, that's is a
lot.
lot. Awesome job, Sai.
She took the words right out of my mouth.
Is there anything else you do not do? Fabulous.
And we have you on Snapchat. It's on the bottom.
Subscribe.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and pass it on,
I'll
Sasha.
pass it on to the lovely Adrian.
Thank you, Sasha. Hi, everyone. So I am a program coordinator specifically for our Sex Workers Empowerment Initiative. SWAY, to put into a lot of words, was born to address a lot of the urgent needs of queer and trans Pacific Islanders, as well as the lives of others whose safety and well-being has been jeopardized simply because of their work in the sex work industry. And this is due to the structural marginalization, the stigma, and especially the criminalizations that sex workers face. Here at Utopia with Sway, it's a lot of our aim is that we are looking to be able to provide a healing space for community. And this is through a lot of the care work that we do, which is kind of like our case management, to where we are able to supply and provide HIV and STI prevention services, help folks get tested, get folks access to housing, and even so much more with a lot of the issues that our sex workers face. But I think the most important part of Sway is to ensure community, especially our sex workers community, is that there is a caring community out here willing to support them.
Thank you. Awesome. Great work.
I'm going to turn it over to Miss Lossie.
Thank you, AG. Hello, everyone. I serve Utopia Washington as the office coordinator or / office admin. So anything administrative is my area of expertise. What that entails or what that looks like is I make sure that every staff member has the necessary tools to perform the important work of Utopia. I help Sasha Samuelu by screening all our guests and visitors, making sure that they follow through our procedures set forth to ensure the safety of our staff. I also keep track of our inventory and supplies, and I do a little finance work assisting Donato Fatuesi with our month's end close, and making sure that our bills are up to date and paid on time.
And thank you so much, Nayran. Like, you play a really good part in our organization because if without you and the service that you guys provide, we wouldn't be up and running and doing our programs. Thank you so much.
Can I add on to that?
Yeah,
I think
sure,
one of the important works for Lassie that I really value about her is that here in our home in Utopia, a lot of the moving in-house parts to ensure that a lot of our equipments are working, so that way we can better support community. All that support is coming from our lovely Miss Lassie.
Thank you.
And it's really phenomenal work that she does.
Yeah.
You know, people don't see this because Lassie doesn't do a lot of organizing outside of her program, but she does all the heavy lifting on making sure that everything that we have in our office is working.
Especially our Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Especially our Wi-Fi. And we need Wi-Fi. Lassie, would you want to pass it on?
Yes, so we'll pass it on to Suyang.
Oh, thanks, Lassie. So I am the Civic Engagement Program Manager alongside Tweety Fatusi. And the mission of our civic engagement arm of Utopia is to harness the collective political power of queer and trans Pacific Islanders here in Washington State. Now, we envision a world where queer and trans Pacific Islanders are represented at every level of government, that includes city, state, and federal. And we do that through various community organizing tactics, including candidate forums, voter registration drives, getting out the vote, legislative advocacy, including lobbying, and citizenship clinics.
Awesome work.
Thank you so much, Simon.
Here.
As development manager of Utopia Washington, it's my job to make sure that all of our programs have the funding that they need to operate. Obviously, this work costs a lot of money. There are a lot of resources involved in this work, and it does not get done for free. A lot of the funding that we receive is coming from grants, either government-based grants or with other organizations that we partner with. But a huge amount of the funding that we get does come directly from our donors. So connecting directly with our community, making sure that they are aware of what we are doing, why we're doing it, and where we're doing that is a huge part of my job in support of everybody else here at Utopia.
Thank you, Gatso.
Thank you, Gatso. Gatso is the person we all love and adore because Gatso keeps us funding and afloat. So thank you, Gatso, for all your hard work. Thanks, Captain. Me. Hello again. My name is Fania. I am our community care program coordinator at Utopia Washington. I am also part of the wellness team, which includes Sasha Samuelu, Giovanna Lynn Timo, as well as Diana Krishna, who are not here today. But the large part of the work that we do is to connect our community members with resources that are out there. And not just connecting them with resources, but also trying to find and build connections with organizations, community members, community that are out there, and also just network so that way we can tap. There's a lot of resources that are out there, and part of the job that we do is to try to establish that connection so that way we can get as much resources that we can for a community, so that we can exercise and promote the wellness of our community. So that's just a step of the work that we do.
Thank you. As part of as the communications manager, I get the super fun task of like supporting everyone and making sure that everyone's programs gets to the right audience, whether that be like on social media, through our digital or print content, and all of that good stuff. I wish I had a really long, elaborate answer like everyone else, but that's that.
I think Jaren is being too modest. Extremely modest. The work they do. Jaren is one of the most hardworking people on this cast, right? And this is the reason we're here. We're able to make this this Talanoa come live to you right now. It's because of Jaren and all the content, the digital content you see on our page, our pages, and all the social platforms. All Jaren. So thank you, Jaren.
Thank you, Jaren.
Influencer of UTOPIA.
Before we go on, I know that you don't do the work alone. You have a team. Could you introduce your team from each program?
For our wellness team, that includes me, Fania, Diana Krishna, and Giovanna Lintimo.
And Sway?
For the Sway team, it includes Vailua Paliso'o and also Kimi Fa'aui. They work alongside myself on helping doing and pushing forward a lot of the work that we do here at Sway. And especially ways that we can show up and support each other. Because I believe like regardless of our departments, is that there's always an intersection with everything that we do. For some reason, it's like we're always ending up collaborating, talking about many ways that we are like pushing like this great work that we do for community. So if you're watching this, Vi and Kimmy, I appreciate you.
Lyra?
Yep. I am representing the small but mighty Department of Operations.
Come on now.
And that consists of Paris as our Operations Director, myself, and Jaren. So thank you.
And I'm representing the civic engagement arm of Utopia with my partner in crime, Tweety Fatusi. And we also work closely with our supervisor, Tepatasi Vaina.
Thank you. Gonzalo?
Yeah, development up until very recently was a team of, I think, 0. Just a work being divided around everybody here at Utopia. Everyone was in charge of the development for their particular programs. I recently came on and then was just joined by Brendan Fumatu, who was transitioning from the position of events and production, now to join me on the development team.
Awesome. My team members include Sasha, as she's already mentioned, and Joanna Lynn and Diana, but also the community members that are out there watching. So if you're watching, thank you for being here.
And Jaren?
Like Lassie said, me and Lassie and Paris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome.
Oh, I forgot to mention somebody. Can I throw them in?
Yes, go ahead.
Huge shout out to the 2 important pillars of Sway who helps us building language for a lot of the work that we do. And I think with some of our departments here, it's our program director, Ms. Tepatasi Vaina, as well as our deputy director, Mayo Supu Viana. Their inputs and influence on the way that we approach this work has been very phenomenal because it allows us to consider pushing ourselves to be able to do this work.
Thank you.
So shout out to you both.
Well, I wanted to ask because also we're not the only teams that are out there. I know you guys are also in teams too.
So our representative isn't here due to unforeseen circumstances. But on our team is called Lolima, and we speak to the cultural stewardship side of the work we do here at Utopia. And our team consists of La Fiora Iata Matangi de la Renta Tutupopo, Everly Falafine, and myself, Arale Sfrenule Yando. Laulima, for those of you who want a deeper understanding, Laulima is a native Hawaiian word or parable or proverb that means many hands lighten the load. And so it's this exact concept that we have taken and applied here at Utopia for the cultural stewardship aspect of the work. And so in Laulima, we have several programs that include Talanoa, developing dialogue and panels through a cultural lens and a cultural method. And we have Rooted in Culture, which stands for Reviving Our Original Ties, Empowering Diaspora. Quite often, folks that live and are grown here in diaspora need a sense of validation, right? If they really are indigenous, or do they really, that's quite often the question that's been put out. You hear terms like being plastic and things like that. Rooted in Culture exists to ensure the validity of folks and their identity as Sangata Pacifica, as cutie pies, as queer and trans-Pacific Islanders living outside of the lands of origin. We also have Tautua Trans Leadership Cohort. Tautua Trans Leadership Cohort exists to build and strengthen the leadership of trans and gender diverse folks across Washington. We graduated our first class last year, December, that consisted of 24 trans women of color. And this year we look to kickstart in February, which is next month. And we're looking forward to that. We also have our Malama Ka'aina, which speaks to the climate justice work that we do here at Utopia. And that is spearheaded by Everly Falafine. And our Talanoa session tonight is spearheaded, and the work of Talanoa is spearheaded none other than the beautiful De La Renta Tunupo. So that's just a brief, I guess, synopsis, if you could say, of what we do here as a cultural stewardship team. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Wow, that sounds like amazing.
Yes.
Just like you folks, you guys are very amazing and very inspiring. Our next question is, and I think I'm going to say this to Alera. Alera, what inspires you to do this work, and what fuels you, and what fuels your drive?
Thank you for the question. What inspires me to do this work is probably my lived experiences and wanting to make an impact for my communities. Holding people, I want to change how heterosexual people view us, and I would like to hold them accountable for their actions, and that's what fuels my drive. I am extremely hopeful for up-and-coming Samoan Fafafines to not have to go through the same trials and tribulations that we once faced. So that's what fuels my drive and inspires me to do this work.
I think that's amazing. I mean, especially as trans women and people with that experience, you notice a lot of the influx of trans women of color, specifically Fafafine and Mahu, that come out to the Pacific Northwest to find better futures, and the struggles they go through. Mm-hmm. So to have that be your fuel is amazing, and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else would like to chime in?
Sure. So I thought a lot about what inspires one or me to get involved in civic engagement. And after a lot of reflection, I've realized that in the end, it's all about knowledge being about power. Knowledge is power, you know, and that you don't know what you don't know, and what you know can actually benefit your communities. So I know a lot of folks, especially people of color and queer and trans folks, feel jaded, or they feel unheard or unrepresented with the current political system and the government. And that's totally valid, because we know that our political system has colonial foundations and colonial roots. And many of us don't see ourselves in these seats. And so part of my work is I want us to be able to hold the complexity of these colonial histories, and also realizing that we still can benefit our communities and reduce harm through being civically involved. And so that's a big reason why I'm inspired to do this work, is to really educate our people and then use that education to build power.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
You want to hit it.
I'd like to share, yes. No, like, just like listening to like you two and like everyone else, like literally that is inspiring. And like just being around y'all, like literally is like what fuels me. And like being able to see what a collective power can do, like, and seeing what it does to the community really is like, I mean, I keep saying inspiring, but like,
It's fine.
it really is, like being able to see, and I don't want to get emotional, but like being able to see like what a small little organization can do, and like the reach that we have is like more than, like, I can't even fathom, like being able to do that for so many people. So like just that is already like more than
That's amazing. I think we all find ways to seek inspiration in doing this work, and sometimes the inspiration is right before us. And I can say personally that I'm inspired by all of you. And I'm not just saying that for the camera, girl. I'm just saying that very genuinely, right? It's an honor to work alongside you folks. And every day walking into this office inspires me to be better, to do great, and to serve this community at a capacity that I've never served before. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I want to say the same thing too. You know, you all inspire me to do the work that we do here at Utopia, Washington. Because every day we're creating change, you know, and we're serving our community. You know, we some of us came from like a corporate world, but stepping into this workforce, it just gives us that great expand of help to our community. And you know, and I thank all of you guys for your knowledge. Thank you for inspiring me, you know, and I hope I inspire you as well. Thank you so much. This brings us to our third question. Name a specific event that your program has hosted in this past year, 2021, and how it has impacted our community and the way that you see the work that you do here at Utopia. Adri, would you like to share?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I honestly feel like I have so many good, fond memories about the ways that a lot of the work that I do have done last year and how it impacted community. One of our events that always stood out for me was our Sex Worker Street Outreach. It gives us the ability to be out there, meeting community where they're at, providing them with support, not only with safe sex supplies, resources, getting them adequate resources for everything, honestly, for a lot of stuff, and just to provide that support and letting them know that, hey, you know, Utopia, you know, we're out here, we're here to support, we're here to serve. I think a lot of the work that I do is serving community, and it's just meeting them out there, being able to share a lot of our stories and be able to get a lot of feedback from them on like some of the things that they're facing out there. Like towards the end of last year, there was like an influx need for hand warmers. Like something as simple as hand warmers was needed. And we were out there. Thank you to all of those that was able to donate to our sex workers registry. A lot of those items was given directly to community, those who are heavily impacted by systems of oppression, like criminalization and the stigma around sex work. So yeah, I think that was part of a lot of the stuff that kind of really stood out for me for our street workers street outreach last year.
I think it's also important for viewers to understand that we're not just giving out these bags because we need to get stuff out, right? These are things that are specifically requested by community members that they need. These are basic essentials they need. I remember going with Adriana to one of her street outreaches, and one of the girls requested Red Bull. You remember that? and we got Red Bull. And so it's amazing work, but also it's not just a matter of us going out there to pass out things. It's a matter of us fostering relationships and building that trust with community. So hats off to you, Adrienne.
Yeah, I think trust is a very big factor of doing street outreach, because when you build that relationship, you come from the first time you meet them to be all like, okay, who are you? To like now for Utopia, it's like, hey bitch! Like this is a kind of relationship, you know, we're comfortable. There's this trust. There's this huge trust that community has with us, which allows me to like really love my job, want me to further the work of Sway, and pushing for full decrim of sex work here in Washington. So that way that they are better supported and that people can finally listen to the stories of sex workers.
If you're ever in Washington, I'm so sorry, Doc. If you're ever in Washington and you want to volunteer to help, I would highly suggest you assist the Sway team in doing these street outreaches. It's life-changing. It's amazing work. Going out there to see the need. Quite often we hear the term boots on the ground. Well, this is exactly it. And so I encourage anyone that wants to volunteer to sign up with the Sway team.
I mean, I want to say that I had the privilege to join you and your team for your first outreach this year. And it was a good experience. And I tell you that, you know, the trust that you guys build with the community, it's there. You know, there's once they see Utopia's vehicle, they come. And I love the way that you guys interact with them. You know, you don't treat them as if they're different. You know, you treat them as their, you know, your friend. You know, and you know the community. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think, like for folks out there who's looking to support a lot of our sex worker street outreach. You can do so. You can visit our registry on Amazon. The link will be posted below. Posted below, so you can go purchase like 1 or 2 items. Like these items actually make a difference for community, actually for our sex worker community, being able to provide them with these safety supplies or just a Red Bull. Like, you know, Red Bull does go a long way. You know, sex workers work. Folks who are doing sex work, you know, when they are there with their full autonomy about that they want to engage in the sex work industry, it's that they're there to work to make a living, just like any other job. And that's never to be conflated with sex trafficking. I just want to be very clear, Utopia is not for human trafficking. We are against human trafficking, as well as sex trafficking. But we should also recognize that there are communities out there who do sex work, like a lot of folks who migrate here to the Pacific Northwest from the islands. It's just to, you know, we don't come from like a vast amount of money. Like money, like there is like when it comes to, when you talk about wealth, it's that a lot of folks who are migrating here don't have access to that. And when you are down low and you need to pay a bill or two, you know, some folks voluntarily go into sex work just to make ends meet. Awesome.
Join us.
Yes.
You want to pass it on to?
Yeah, you know, I would love to hear from the lovely Miss Sasha. Sasha does a really amazing work for Utopia, especially with our COVID-19 platform. So,
thank you so much, Adrienne.
Of course.
Thank you, Don, Ara. My highlighted event was our COVID-19 vaccine clinics. It brings so much joy how our cutie BIPOC LGBTQ community, Pacific Islanders community come in and get vaccinated.
Yes.
With the numbers of death and cases rising, it is so good to see that our Pacific community aren't taking this seriously. Because the past year, the Native Americans and Pacific Islanders are 1% of population across Washington state. And then most of our Pacific Islander community were mostly impacted by COVID.
Yeah.
And for our community coming to the clinic, getting vaccinated, it surely did. I'm not saying that we vaccinated the whole Washington state. But I'm really glad that the numbers are going down, specifically on our Pacific Islander community. And as well as our trans girls coming to, or trans siblings coming to get vaccinated, that brings so much joy. And that's like, motivates me to continue the work that I do and the work that we all do is serving our community. Yeah.
Awesome. Great job.
I think it's also important, right, Sasha? That's great work. But it's also important for us to highlight that everyone does their due diligence to ensure the safety of each other. And as a collective, as an organization, we want to do so in providing these clinics. And how many people have you already vaccinated so far?
The total amount was 900. So
Amazing.
Can you say that out louder?
900.
900.
900.
Can you say it louder for the people in the back?
And it's so good to see that when you guys host these clinics, we're getting to meet, new people, and we get to see new faces.
Yes.
And when they come here, they're looking at the work that we do, and that's also building trust. That we are here. We're being known, we're being visible. So good job.
Yes, thank you. And it's it shows the world, especially the world, especially in Washington, that Utopia Washington does care about your wellness and health.
Yeah.
You know that, and we do a lot of great work. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Adriana and I were having a conversation. Apparently, everyone on social media is a doctor, right, Adriana?
Apparently, we have a bunch of microbiologists and scientists that apparently just came out during COVID. I was all like, wow, it's also like that you did host a graduation of all these brand new doctors. And that really brings me to a lot of the really phenomenal stuff that Sasha does. It's every Friday. She has Friday Facts. She puts a lot of accurate, updated information about COVID. Yes, that's directly from Miss Sasha, and she is not a doctor.
Yeah.
But a lot of her resources with her outreach, especially on our online platforms, is being able to push out these accurate information, putting everybody on that fact check.
Science-based information.
Science-based information.
CDC approved.
Okay. CDC approved.
And we know that now the community knows that you provide masks and hand sanitizers for people, and you give it out, for free, right?
Yeah.
This is all for free. So good job. Thank you.
So not only do we combat COVID with PPE, but we also combat with these factual Friday Facts, right?
Yeah.
That combat all the conspiracy theories and all the microbiologists out there with yourself, PhD having. Thank you so much, Sasha and Adrienne. Wonderful work.
Yes, as everyone else said, the information shared are accurate and legit.
Yeah, legit.
Thank you.
Moving right along, right? Yeah, did you want to?
Yeah, sure. Also, one of the things that I'm very proud of that our team was able to establish last year was the launch of our Mapu Maya clinic.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Mapu Maya, as translated to Samoan, means to invite someone over to rest. And that's kind of the fundamental of where Mapu Maya is focused on, because oftentimes most of our queer and trans community, they would be denied, and there's always this disconnect with healthcare providers, due to just being the people that we are or the way we are. So there's a lack of communication and a lack of understanding. Oftentimes people are denied access to gender affirming care, as well as other general health practices. But with the establishment or with the launch of Mapu Maya, our hope is that we're able to create a safe space where all our community, our queer and trans community in Washington, or if you're visiting, you can come and then we can offer general health care, hormonal replacement therapy, and also access to sexual health resources, and a lot more. So look forward to that in 2022. We're going to be having a lot of clinics. This is something that the wellness team has been working on. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to hear from Kato though. Kato, as an organizer, what are some of the challenges that you've experienced within the past year, or even when you got on board?
Yeah, so one of the main problems that we're facing right now in the nonprofit space is that a majority of the money that we need to run these programs, to run the Mapamai Clinic, to run our COVID-19 programming, to run SWAY, is coming from these historically white, male, cis heterosexual, patriarchal sources. They're coming from these large foundations. They're coming from these legacy organizations that have had money and will continue to have money. And as a result, all of the rules and regulations associated with that money are also coming from them. This means that we are having to collect data from queer and trans Pacific Islanders that they are not ready to give due to historical misuse by our government bodies. We are having to ask invasive medical and personal questions of our trans community that is actively triggering that community every single time they are asked. And again, this is not things that we can just choose not to do. These are absolute requirements of that funding. And this is a conflict for nonprofits everywhere, but especially Utopia, given the populations that we serve. So my hope is that in the future, as we work together with our community, we can start to focus on something called mutual aid, which is communities uplifting communities, and step away from these historical funding sources and alleviate a lot of that pressure that we're putting on our own populations by having to come to these sources for our funding.
Awesome. That is amazing.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
So Yang, do you have any challenges of being an organizer?
Absolutely. I think COVID hit the civic engagement arena pretty hard this year and last year. A lot of our work around voter registration, getting out the vote, has been going out to the community, going out to campuses, and meeting strangers and getting them to register to vote and getting out the vote. So we really had to pivot and look at innovative ways to do this work digitally and safely. So yeah, I think a lot of the efforts that we're looking at now is how do we build community and organize through digital spaces and through safe ways. But we're resilient and we're creative, and that's a specialty here, so that's what we do.
I think for our team, for Novima, with the pandemic, just trying to put on events where we can have in-person events. It's so hard because, with the restrictions that we have, for the safety of our community. But as Tu Young said, we look for ways to be innovative, and this is part of the innovation that we have, for gatherings. But so I think me as being an organizer, there's so much I want to do, but because of the restrictions and we have to be, we're limited with the idea and creative things that we can do. But I'm so happy that we have social media, and on the phone, and here and there, hi, bye. And so this whole thing is over with, and boom, we're gonna go out with the boom.
You are. I think the great thing about limitations, right? When limitations are put on people, it expands your creativity, right? Hence this very conversation, right? We aren't able to host Talanoas in person, where we have community members being here and present, but we've opted to do it this way, virtually. And so, as the limitations get harder and harder, trust and believe we'll find ways to serve. So, that's to everyone here. Our next question.
Oh, next question.
Yes.
So, what can community expect from your department? They want to hear what we have in store for the year 2022. So I'll just go around, and then you can go ahead and tell us what you guys have in store.
Thank you, Del. I'll go first.
Yeah.
Although we moved most of our events to the online portion, right? We moved all our events online. We do still have some resources that could be helpful during these trying times, such as our computer lab. Our computer lab has high-speed internet connections, and it has its own connections to its own color printer. So I see community members
coming in, updating their resumes, enrolling into online schools. They can complete their FAFSAs online here at our community lab. And so much more. They can even browse for jobs if they're looking for employment. So yeah, stop by our office Monday through Friday. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is our business hours. Remember that Utopia Washington practices safety always. So we follow through the CDC's and local guidelines. So be prepared to get screened for COVID symptoms and show your proof of vaccination.
Yes.
So please come down,
you.
visit our community lab.
Thank you.
And when she says high-speed internet, she really means
Yeah.
it.
Great speed.
Colored printer.
So yeah.
Sure. So we're well underway in 2022, and first off, we're focusing on our legislative advocacy. So a lot of our communities right now are lobbying virtually in the state right now. We're working on a bill to protect prisoners, especially trans and disabled folks in prisons, to make sure that information is private. That's House Bill 1956. And then we'll be having our special election in February in Kent. That's a school levy that we would like folks, encourage folks to vote on so we can support our public schools. And then we have a launch of our new name for our civic engagement program.
Wow.
Ooh. So this is looking like a party, a fundraiser.
Yeah.
We love a good party. And then finally, we're partnering with REWA and ACRS for our citizenship clinic. And so that'll be coming in early spring. So look out for that as well.
Awesome.
Tatsu?
Yeah, 22 is going to be an interesting year because, as we've seen, there's a tapering off of funding for a lot of different resources. We're seeing an end to rental assistance programs. We're seeing an end of COVID-19 financial assistance. All of these programs are things that Utopia relies on in order to fund our programs. And as those begin to taper off and we return to a normal situation, what we're going to find is that the gaps between service are going to get wider, especially for our populations that we are serving here, our sex workers, our queer and trans community, our BIPOC community, and then our broader Kent community as well. So 2022 is going to be a year that we are really calling on you, our community, to come and support us, whether that means volunteering your skills and your talents as a volunteer, whether that means volunteering with us as an ambassador and talking to your organizations, talking to your communities about funding Utopia, or becoming a donor yourself. You know, any donation of any value helps the programs that we offer. And 2022 is going to be the opportunity where we open our doors to you and ask, come with us on this work. Come with us, and let's make sure that as these programs continue, the funding that they need not only continues, but increases so that we can go into this year expanding what we're offering to our community.
Amazing.
Nice.
Great job.
Yes,
You're very eloquent.
Yeah, you are. Nia?
I'm gonna be just like you when I grow up.
For the year of 2022, the wellness team, we're looking to elevate our Mapumaya clinic, not just in terms of the services that we can provide for our queer and trans community here in Washington, but we're also focusing on mental health. We're trying to get a lot of mental health providers, so that way we can battle the stigma that is culturally put on us, that mental health isn't as important as it should be. It's very important. Other resources that we're also gearing up on revamping is our food pantry. So that way we can battle a lot of food scarcity, food insecurity that's been going on a lot lately since the pandemic. And also our new possibility clauses, we're finding ways to get sizes that are inclusive, not just to little ones, to medium ones, to plumper ones, but also to like, also that are like neutral, gender neutral. Yes, there you go. One other thing to look forward to is our is our HIV and STI testing clinics that are going to be up and coming. You can follow our social media platforms. Of course, Jaren is going to update everyone as soon as we find our dates. But yeah.
Awesome.
That's a lot.
Can I say that, we have the Halikokua. It's a room that we provide for our community. We have food and clothing. You also have shoes to give out to the community, and these are all for free. We do ask that you please come down. Don't hesitate to come and visit our office. It's open. We're open from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and please see our wellness. We have so much in that room, so it's there for you. So please. Come down.
Also, we are offering care support, care management, case management out there. But here it's called care management for community members that are interested in ongoing support. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out, and we'll be more than happy to help you. So. Thank you. Oh yes, and we also do food delivery every last Tuesday of the month. For those folks that are disabled or elderly, so.
I love that that you talked about the care work of Utopia, because that is practically kind of like the case management services that we offer. It's prior to us all working here. We've all done care work. We've all offered care support for each other as a community, which can show up in many ways. Like a home to live under, or food on the table, or just like different ways that we provided for each other on being able to pass on those resources and services that's out there to like help support us when we first moved here. Us for Sway, I think one of the most important things that for everybody to look for is our revamping of our transaction support group. So transaction currently right now, it's a support group for our trans and gender diverse folks who engage in sex work, current or former. It's a space to where we can have a lot of conversation and unpacking a lot of trauma that we as sex workers face. It's where we get to provide each other with resources on things that are currently happening, with whether it be a form of harm that's currently happening to sex workers, or just stories, or just a place just to unpack and just sit and like have conversation. Last year we saw like a really huge growth of folks that were coming into transaction for Native support. So this year, with CDC guidelines on ensuring that we're keeping our community safe, Sway is looking into ways that this can not only be an unpacking space, but also a space that we can just gather and just be ourselves and be community. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, speaking of space. Speaking of space, also we have our Cutie by POC Real Talk support group. So if you're interested, it happens every second Tuesday of every month. And for our lesbian community members that are out there, Giovanna Lynn has been organizing a lesbian social group. So if you're interested, just follow her email right here. It'll probably show up there. So, sorry, Jaren, for giving you more work to do. But yeah, so thank you.
Oh yeah. And if you want to join our transaction support group, you can visit this link right here.
Go back now.
Sasha? Oh yes. Providing continuous education on COVID-19, COVID-19 vaccine clinics. As Fania said, we will be having more clinics, not only on COVID, but on all health issues. Yes, and look out for that. Get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
Yes.
Boosted
Oh,
too.
okay. Not forever, but for now. For now. Period.
Thanks, Sasha.
Yeah, thank you. When it comes to Utopia's communications, I think what you'll see is a lot more different virtual spaces like this. Like this Talanoa is a lot different than our other ones, and I hope it's a little more entertaining and engaging. But here moving forward, I mean, we're navigating this this year for the second time or third time, basically going virtual. So hopefully we have more fun ideas. I think we already do have some that are coming up. So yeah.
Yes, and like I mentioned, right, it gets better and better, right?
Yes.
With the amount of pressure that's put on people because of the limitations, the creativity just goes out the roof. So, awesome job, Jen.
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Darren.
Well, as we get ready to close, we want to acknowledge our partners who have helped in making tonight's Talanoa possible. Thank you to the City of Seattle Human Services Department for your continued support. And thank you to our lovely panelists for taking time out here to share your knowledge and share what your program does here at Utopia Washington. But we'd like to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in and being faithful to Utopia Washington. Thank you so much.
Thank you. A few announcements for Lolima. We have a lot in store this year. We're working through quarters, and so our Talanoa Trans Leadership Cohort kicks off next month, as well as another rendition of Talanoa. We also have an exhibition with the Museum of Seattle featuring our climate justice work. And so we are going to be working closely with the likes of Brandon Huamatu, as well as Everly Falafine, who is spearheading that project. Ofama Tonga, which translates to Love for Tonga, is an initiative we have formed together with the National Tongan American Society in supporting the relief efforts for the Kingdom of Tonga. As you've all heard, the aftermath of the volcanic eruption of Hunga Tonga and Hunga Ha'apai that caused a tsunami has left many parts of the Kingdom of Tonga in despair. And so as they slowly rebuild, we ask that you please be open to sharing and lending a hand to help them. The people of Tonga will need our support in the days to come. We ask that you please donate a meaningful gift to support local families by clicking on Ofama Tonga, our post on our Utopia Washington Facebook page. All proceeds will be sent directly to the Tongan government to assist with immediate needs of the people of Tonga. Malo Pito, and thank you.
Remember, our Rooted program kicks off next month, and we are voyaging through the Pacific learning. It has various cultural practices, so please sign up and attend. It has been a wonderful evening and a night of conversation and laughter. And we thank you again for being with us. Once again, I am Della Renta Tufa Ilimitani Matani Thing I'm Aliata Ngayo Ya Ilama Tasausa Boy Dua Tunupopo.
Dang, girl. And I am Aras Painulele Mahelani Yando. And from all of us here at Utopia, thank you.
Mahalo.
Soy Pua.
Soy Pua.